What up, my man of society? It is your host with the most, Shadow Log, back at you with another video. Make sure you guys like, comment, and or subscribe to the channel. It's absolutely free. That is how you help my channel get into the algorithm. Highly appreciate if you go ahead and do that. Right? Now, I had gotten an email by a good subscriber of mine, Matthew Navarro, right? He told me if I could make a video about this, right? He said that, his brother is fighting a case, right? He said that his brother, who has a record and, was in and out of jail and et cetera, et cetera. He said that, they had a party at his house, and, homies went over. They were drinking, you know what I mean? And an argument had happened, right? I don't know between who, exactly, right? Homie really didn't make it clear on that. But he said that people started arguing, right? And his brother ended up, shooting somebody, right? But he said in self-defense because somebody had pulled out a knife on him or something like that, right? But he shot him, right? Now his brother got arrested and he's fighting his case, right? But he's saying that they're offering him a deal or something like that, right? But he said if he should take it, or like, what would I do, right? Like, how do I see the situation? Like, what are my thoughts on the situation? I read it over and over, my boy. I was having a kind of like a hard time, understanding what you meant in certain things, right? But I guess I get the overall, I guess the picture of it, right? So, what do I think he should do? Well, I think if he fights it, he's probably gonna lose because you said he's a documented gang member, right? Who has a record, right? Who has prior convictions, who's a felon, as a matter of fact, right? Like you said. And if he's a felon, then he already should know that he's not allowed to have a firearm, though. So regardless if it's his home and it was in self-defense because it's inside of his home, I mean, these people are people he knows and he invited over, right? So it's not like it's like some stranger or a burglar or something like that, right? So the fact that it's his home doesn't even matter. It's not going to make a difference, right? Because he knew these people. He invited them over. They're partying. They're kicking it, right? They're partying, So so that self-defense plea is going to be irrelevant, right? Because he knew these people, right? They got into an argument, and the jury's not going to see that no argument is worth shooting somebody over. Now you said that it was self-defense because he pulled out like a knife or something like that, right? But they're gonna see it that he put himself in this situation. If he's a known felon and a known gang member, why is he putting himself in these type of scenarios, like hanging around with these people, like still hanging around with people that are, I guess, up to no good, up to trouble, right? And why did he have a weapon on him, ready to go, right? So they're gonna take a look at all of that, right? And it's just not gonna make any sense, bro. It's gonna make it seem like, he was still in the mix and he was still involved in something and he was still about that activity and all that, bro. That apparently, he hasn't changed, and this is the reason why white fellas are not allowed to have firearms or weaponry, right? Because because of shit like this, right? So it's irrelevant if it was self-defense or what it was, you know what I mean? He shouldn't have had a firearm on him regardless, right? And he should have never put himself in this type of scenario. It would be different if we're talking about the story of he's sleeping in his bed and somebody broke in through his window and he shot the person, right? Compared to you're partying with some homies that are up to no good or are in the life of no good, and you have a firearm and you guys are arguing, you shoot him, Now, was it his homie that he shot? That's one thing I don't understand. If that was his own homie, was it his own homie? Maybe you could, explain it in the comments, right? But overall, in general, yeah, the if he takes it to trial, the jury's just gonna see it as shouldn't have been in possession of a firearm, and he shouldn't have put himself in that scenario, bro. Because in all true reality, in all true facts, I mean, that is true, bro. No matter which way you try to slice it. Right? Now it depends. Like, did they snitch on him? Like, like, is there witnesses? Like, that's another thing that's gonna play a factor, right? All that is gonna play a role, bro. And either way, he's gonna look bad straight off the bat if he already has a record and like I said, if he's a felon and he has a firearm. I mean, yeah, bro, like he might as well take the plea deal, bro, because he's pretty much effed. In all true reality, because they're just gonna see him as this person who shouldn't have had the firearm and shouldn't have put himself in that position either way, right? And his age is gonna play a factor too. Like, is your brother young or is he older, right? Because all of that matters when with the jury, right? If he's an older person, then they're obviously gonna be like, yeah, this guy's not learning. He's not changing. He's still stuck in his ways compared to someone who's younger. They might, look at it, he's naive and something like that, right? So they might be able to play, some type of like, this guy is just, he could possibly still be helped. So that all that plays a factor, bro, when we're talking about cases, bro. Especially, the jury looks into all of that, right? Um, the jury looks into all of that, right? Because all of those things play factors, right? That's why they say when you go to court, you have to look presentable, you have to look, professional, right? Not look all, thuggish, because image does play a factor when it comes to the jury as well, right? Um, all of those things play a role when it comes to them coming to their overall decision. It shouldn't, but it does, right? So, like I said, bro, they're not gonna look and care about the whole self defense. All they're gonna be thinking about is like, why was he still doing this if he already had a record, if he should have already known better, why did he have a firearm, and etc., right? But overall, like I said, these are just my opinions, my boy. It's probably not the thing you wanted to hear. But I could only be honest with you, bro. You told me to keep it 100, I'm keeping it 100 with you, bro. You know what I mean? But overall, that's just my opinion, right? Maybe the people in the comments, they might think differently, right? And might be able to, uh you know put in a better, argument right there, But overall, this is just what I think, on how they're gonna view it, because overall, I feel like that is how they're gonna view it. That's just the way people are, they tend to do that. But I'm just saying, Shadow, we